Hey, what's going on, guys? This is going to be a short video today, but I do want to talk about the developer update that was put out by Mihoyo a few days ago. In the update, Mihoyo announced that they're working on a buff for all major reactions, which they define as Electro Charge, Superconduct, Overloaded, Swirl, and Shatter. These are all the reactions that cause damage, excluding Vaporize and Melt, which have been the meta for late game players since the release of this game. Although I'm late to the party because I've been on vacation, this channel saw most of its growth with my Beto guide, who's still one of my favorite and most used characters, as well as the first character that I got to friendship level 10, so I feel obligated to speak on this topic. The specific dev notes state that the developers have been continuing to pay close attention to how travelers utilize various elemental reactions in combat. In order to increase the role that elemental reactions play in combat, we plan to make the following adjustments in future versions. 1. When a character reaches level 60 or above, the damage caused by major reactions, i.e. Electro Charge, Superconduct, Overloaded, Swirl, and Shatter, will be increased. 2. The base shield damage absorption for shields generated by crystallized reactions will be increased. And 3. The damage bonus provided by Elemental Mastery for major reactions will be increased. Refer to the attributes panel in-game for the exact damage bonus amount. If you're not aware, the damage calculation for Vaporize and Melt differs from all of the reactions being buffed. These two reactions have either a 1.5 times or 2 times damage multiplier depending on the element that triggers the reaction. This means that if a character like Mona triggers Vaporize with her normal attack, the normal attack will deal double the amount of damage that it would if no reaction was triggered. This damage also scales with Elemental Mastery, which is applied as an additional damage bonus on top, and the reaction damage can crit. Damage for these reactions is shown as a single number. For all the other reactions besides Crystallize and Frozen, which don't do damage, reaction damage is calculated exclusively based on character level, elemental mastery of the character triggering the reaction, and reaction multiplier alone, and it cannot crit. This damage is shown as a separate number from the elemental damage of the character triggering the reaction. So the only way to increase reaction damage for Electro and Swirl reactions is to have elemental mastery on characters triggering those reactions. This can either come from artifact and weapon stats on the character, or from teammates such as Sucrose and Diona, artifact sets such as Instructor, or supportive weapons like Elegy for the End. However, building EM on any character takes away from regular elemental damage, which normally scales with attack. Because Electro-based reactions in particular have been so weak, it currently doesn't make sense to build elemental mastery over attack percent in almost all cases. Vaporize and Melt reactions really do not suffer from this same dilemma because the 1.5 times or 2 times damage multiplier is applied by default, with Elemental Mastery damage really only being applied as a bonus. From Mihoyo's notes, it sounds like they'll not only be increasing the base damage of these reactions, but also the damage bonus based on the character's elemental mastery. Depending on how this is done, characters like Fischl, who are continuously performing Electro reactions, may benefit much more from elemental mastery, and the way we build some of these characters could change. In order for these characters to really compete with the Vaporize and Melt meta, Mihoyo will need to significantly boost the base damage of these reactions because investing into elemental mastery will hurt the elemental damage of these characters. So why is this happening now? We've not seen a single new Electro character since launch, and with Inazuma, the Electro region, quickly approaching, it is very likely we'll be seeing quite a few Electro characters in the not too distant future. With that said, these dev notes basically say the developers have been continuing to pay close attention to how travelers utilize various elemental reactions in combat, and realize that most people will not want to pull for the new Electro characters we're gonna release, so we're buffing reactions so that they compete with the current meta. In my opinion, this is a really good thing. Instead of buffing Electro reactions as a whole, Mihoyo could easily release new Electro characters with extremely high damage scaling built into their kit that makes their reaction damage not matter. Instead of this, it seems they're opting to balance the meta overall. Ganyu is probably the best example of a character in this game with this design. Ganyu can out DPS basically every character in the game without performing any reactions, which makes her very broken, and it makes it very hard for other characters to compete with her. As a Ganyu simp, I could really care less, but I still don't like the imbalance in the game state that her character design caused. We're going to be getting the first physical damage focused 5-star character Eula in a couple of weeks, and I have a strong feeling that her damage multipliers are going to be extremely high. Physical damage is currently the weakest form of damage in the game. This is because the only way to boost physical damage is through debuffs including Superconduct, Zhongli's shield, and some other character talents and constellations that reduce physical resistance of enemies. On top of this, a lot of the most difficult content in the game features enemies with high physical resistance or strongly favors shield breaking over raw DPS output. While Mihoyo did release a new physical damage artifact set, it is still likely not enough to allow physical damage carries as a whole to compete with elemental damage in most instances. Mihoyo wants to sell 5-star characters, and in order to do this on a large scale, they need to convince the player base that they're powerful. Attempting to balance the game state with new artifact sets or buffs that affect all characters in a specific class, like the transformative reaction buffs coming, are definitely the most fair way to do this in my opinion. So overall, I see this buff as a net positive for quite a few reasons, and I'm extremely excited for the Electro characters coming. Although I'm mostly on the waifu over meta train, I still do fall back on the meta enough to get through the Spiral Abyss and to not fall too far behind in other difficult content. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this buff in the comments below. That's all I got for you guys today. If you guys found this video helpful and informative, please leave a like as it really helps the channel out. And if you'd like to see more Genshin content like this in the future, consider subscribing down below. I put out videos just like this one every single week. I'll see you guys for the next video. Peace.